Okay, so the start of week 4 is going to be a little different because of the AI checkpoint that I gave you guys the heads up on week 2. I had to pull from the module. And I actually ended up pulling it from week 3 because I had already published week 3. And this is when a student already had hit up against it in week 3, and only a couple students had taken it in week 2. So I was like, okay, I'm going to pull it for now until we can figure this out. So just a brief of what the issue is that if you were around taking classes at the end of last semester, you remember that there was a cyber attack on Canvas. Canvas is the company who makes, and in this case, almost entirely hosts the Canvas instance that we're all on, had a cyber attack. And we were all down for much longer than we should have been, in my opinion. But once Canvas came back for everyone, they also did some things that locked down a lot of things that happened on the back end that impacted our app that was already working. And so Rick Gomez and I created an app that allows the instructor to write a series of prompts that interacts with the student. So taking the traditional quiz concept into an AI reality, and giving you the ability to interact with the prompts and, and to have us both see how well you're translating the concept. So that's what this is. We've done this in a way that protects your privacy. We send nothing over, and we use, in this case, OpenAI ChatGPT's API to do this. So what I'm going to have you do here in week 4 is actually do a test track, and I'll walk you through this one. And then, depending on what happens for you here, and even if you have the submission issue, because what happened was when students went to submit, there was something that would sometimes pop up on Canvas and not allow students to submit. But many students have actually been successful in Rick's class. And I had several able to do it in week 2 in this class, but it was once we hit week 3, and I think even maybe in starting in week 2 for some students. So Rick wrote this workaround that is actually going to be part of the video that you will see in here. So for week 4, that's my point, you're going to do this one and then this one, and then by the time you get here, I will have posted the attendance and talked about how this will be graded. This actually won't be 100 points because I've pulled it out of the category. I'm going to put in an attendance for this week, give you 40 points for this. But I just more than anything want to have you try it, see if you run into the issue. Also, give me feedback on if you feel like this was helpful. Okay, so let's look at just the test. Let's actually just go into the test. So in this case, you're going to have the video from me, and then here's Rick's video. So, and I'm going to show you what to look for, but please check out the full video. For Rick's, it's pretty short, I think, as well. Let's see how long is his. His is 2 minutes, so it's pretty quick. You can check out that. So if you're taking CIT 28, you may have already seen this. And if you're taking CIT 85 HTML from the back 9, that's what Rick's teaching as well. So, but I will show you in this walkthrough generally what to look for. So these are instructions you will always see on these checkpoints, like, commit to the sit. There's no save. You can't do that later. The submit assignment at the very end is key to receive that, and that's you'll see it at the very end. You'll see submit assignment. If you don't click there, Canvas acts like it was never happened, although I could tell you that the way we get around the issues, we have a way to capture all the interaction that you're doing, again, with no personal private data being sent over to OpenAI. So manage your time. There's a timer actually on here. Use the right gear. Use a laptop or a desktop. The coding interface for this is not mobile friendly because if you don't know, mobile browsers refresh much more often and without you doing anything to them. Practice makes perfect. You take this checkpoint multiple times to improve your score. So that's what I look for, is once you start it, even if you can't answer some of those, do your best to get through it, understand what it's asking, and then attempt it again. And that's the idea. And I will only grade the last submission if I see you asking for the answer, which generally AI in this case is told not to, but AI wants to be friendly. But if you attempt it 3 times and still don't get it, I actually will, that's part of the way I will grade the assignment. So the point is that just every time you click start, a new attempt is logged, okay? The don'ts, so these are the do's, these are the don'ts. Don't use Gen AI for this. I actually don't allow you to copy and paste into here. And remember, this is really technical interview practice. In a real job interview, you won't have AI assistant to help you build your raw skills now. Don't ghost it. This is kind of a repeat of the submission, right? Don't start one and then refresh it. If you do, just know in the back end, we actually capture that now. All right, so what do you do here? So actually, I've been in here long enough. I actually have to refresh the page. You'll see this load. And as soon as you do this, you're going to see it open in a new tab. Okay, so here, where we go. So in this case, when you're, this is the, you haven't actually started it. When you click here is when we start tracking. So you can look up here, and if you happen to see the using backup, that means for whatever reason in your particular setup, it is actually using the backup. So, but the other thing is there's a timer. So if you click over here and you want to know how much time you have left, we limit it to 55 minutes. We feel like within that amount of time, you should be able to answer 5 concept questions and do 5 coding questions. Now, on this one, you're not going to do that many because I'm actually going to walk all the way through it. So now I'm going to go ahead and click here. So this is the point once you click the start here. Now we're actually tracking this. Okay, there's actually a back end process. And so I tried to come up with something fun, maybe not, but also, right, so the AI is asking you, right, fun checkpoint. It's actually giving you some code. Alert, check 1 to start the checkpoint. And then it actually gives you some more code for getting the DOM reference on click. We actually haven't seen this particular way of writing a DOM reference. And welcome Code Explorer. Click Q1. So you can see down here, there's a start. Q1 start actually gets run automatically. As soon as we start it up, there's also a system prompt that gets run. And then there's a question one, a question, and then a code. You'll see what I mean. Okay. So now in this case, welcome, click on Q1, and it's going to give you some content, right? So all the classic mix up. Here's a rundown. The name confusion. This is just, right? Actually, I think I'm going to change this prompt by the time you see here. I'm actually going to change this because I realized the way I wrote it, it was actually just giving you content rather than actually asking you a question, because normally you would be interacting, or I can just tell you that's what you're doing here. Okay, but it actually gives you the difference between Java and JavaScript, because I always, as JavaScript developers, always have a little bit of a reaction when we hear people call JavaScript Java. Okay, now so that's where you would normally have a question here, but I guess I didn't write the prompt well enough. But let's go to C1. So this would be your first coding challenge, right? This little coding VIP pass for your app.js to join to make sure it's the right spot. Usually at, oh, actually this is not true for our class, okay? So, and actually in general, you don't put the script tag at the end. You put it actually at the beginning. And what do you add here? Now, what's interesting about this question is because I didn't make these prompts as robust, as you will see when you get to the next one. It was actually supposed to ask you to write it, but notice how friendly, in this case, the AI is. And that's just the way they create the actual interfaces into their LLMs. There's a lot more that goes into creating LLMs. Just creating a foundational model is first, and then they lay upon it a lot of different stuff. So in this case, it didn't ask me, but let's see if you would know how to write. What else would be needed here for the script tag? And then again, it goes in the HTML. What else would we need to make sure it handles our DOM references correctly? So at this point, again, we're just playing here. This is actually just as long as you walk through it. I'm not going to actually do a traditional grade here. But now it's telling you on the last. And when you get to this color, what that means is that actually you're ready to submit. So at this point, if you happen to be using the backup, you're going to actually see Rick's content and his video that I provided you here, which I definitely recommend. And if you see that, what that means is for some reason your system ran up against the issue. Again, we're hoping to capture more data about what it is. But just for doing this, you get plus equal 1 late pass. So if you haven't used any, that means you now have 3 if you submit this assignment. And even if you have to do it the alternative way, when you hit submit here, and my assignment is actually going to submit correctly. If it does it correctly, it says assignment submitted. Otherwise, you get some instruction and it gives you a link into the assignment to paste an ID. And again, if you get that, check out Rick's video for an understanding how to get around that submission issue. I wish we didn't have to do it, but honestly, at this point, I feel like it's just something we have to do until somebody from Canvas's side can give us exactly why it's happening. But anyway, nature of writing code, especially code that interacts with AI these days. Okay, so just to end this, I'm actually looking at this as a student's perspective. So what I could do, because this actually assignment has been submitted, I can now close the window. I can come over here to grades and I will be able to scroll and actually see that test one. And when you click into here, you will actually see this and you can view this. So in this case, right, I went in there before and did this, so has 3 incomplete. So this I'm not completely sure, but the good news is I have the log in the back. And you end up giving me that ID if you happen to run into the submission issue. But it does track your submissions, is what I want you to know. All right, so now what you want to do, now that you've been through this and hopefully been successful or figured out the way around it, now you're actually going to do the week 3 um, checkpoint that was intended to be in week 3, that is at the beginning of week 4. All right, talk to you later.